And we are live.
All right. And welcome back, once and future viewers, to Monsters Among Men, our tabletop RPG stream.
Hello!
Hi.
Yes. If you have been here before, you can go ahead and skip forward a little bit as we talk about some of the stuff we open up with. But once again, my name is Noah. I am the founding president of the Anti-Zombie Zombie Club and your DM for the evening. We are playing a zombie campaign of Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition, though a heavily homebrewed one. You should eventually be able to see the homebrew on my website once I get that rolling. But I would say, for those of you interested in rules, don't worry about it. Sit back, relax, and listen in. As for myself personally, like I said, I am the DM. I am also a writer. I've got one horror novel up and running. I have a anthology I've got with my writing group, and I have been running this game personally for about 3 years. I always get this wrong. 3 years, right?
Off and on for 3 years, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah, I know. And we've been enjoying this so much that we are now broadcasting it out to you. That being said, Mackenzie, like to introduce yourself to the fine people?
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. I'm the one who's going to be playing Richard today, the idiot with a fucked up face but a heart of gold. I am the group's residential digital artist. I did the assets for our little icons here. I did the overlay. I did the editing for the map using some existing official imaging. And some other assets of mine will probably pop up throughout the stream. If you enjoy my work, you can find me on Twitter, or I guess X now, at MoonKanin, MoonKanin. Although you can also find any of our links to our socials below, including our YouTube, where we'll post VODs, as well as Noah's website and his recent book as well. Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Brian Herman. I play John. I did the intro for our Twitch stream and the world intro on YouTube. Voice actor. Don't really have anything to plug just yet. Most of my acting is done locally, so sadly, unless you live in Kentucky, there's very little chance for you to actually see any of that. But for now.
Man, severe cough medicine before the stream might not have been the greatest idea, but fuck it, we're rolling with it.
Oh boy. We do these streams every 2 weeks, or at least we're trying to. And then if you come at the end of the stream or you miss out the stream partially, you can go check out the VOD on our YouTube channel, which is there on the overlay or in the links below on our Twitch stream. Otherwise, I think that leaves us ready to go.
Yeah. And with that being said, if we're ready to go, we need a good old-fashioned recap of what happened last time.
Fantastic.
On Monsters Among Men.
I thought you were going to say Monsters Inc. for a second, and I was like, wait a minute.
That's after the stream.
That is
What
honestly.
are you gonna do about the hanging Judge Wazowski?
The Hellions are evil, Mike Wazowski. They're beyond saving.
Honestly, Monsters Inc. feels like some weird amalgamation of Fade and Zardenwoop.
I'd believe it. Give us that recap.
Yes, 100%. So, I believe we picked up last session. We were already at the farm. Richard and John were making plans. Richard planned to go retrieve the vehicle that we had parked near the docks on the eastern side of the state of Florida. He is going to bring Taylor with him. John is going to stay behind to start mingling with the people living at the farm still and organizing them and getting things rolling in that sense. before Richard left, they looked for a vehicle of some sort, of any sort. They decided whether or not they wanted to use the suicide boat. They decided against the suicide boat, and then they
John
set off.
molested me.
Only a little. John previewed what Richard might have looked like with a zoot suit on for Taylor, which he got absolutely no thanks for.
Yeah, this is the most important plot point.
However, later on, we did realize that Taylor may or may not be having thoughts about that. Anyway, but yes, Richard and Taylor leave the farm to go look for the car, while John starts talking with notable NPCs and organized people to build cabins, diagnosed some of the people's worries, fears, anxieties, and is also learned, not Sid, or was it Sid?
Yes, Sid.
It was Sid. Sid, who was sitting on the front porch, might have had a little bit of jealousy when it came to Richard and Taylor, because Taylor, having been somewhat romantically entangled with Richard, was Sid's
interest.
There we go. Yeah, that's probably the word. I was gonna say obsession. That he doesn't seem obsessed, honestly. He's like he was pretty chill. However, very, very much was interested in Taylor, and Taylor apparently had no interest in him, or at the very least didn't quite. Yeah. Anyway, so had to talk him into either staying for a little bit, or honestly, John was very much like a man. You do what you need to do, but we could really use you here. Talked with a few more people and built the cabin, mingled around, and it's about time for John and the farm to come together and have a meeting. But of course, less important, Richard and Taylor have a bit of bonding as they trek on foot across Florida toward the docks, toward their car. Taylor not quite able to keep up, as she's been kind of in one location for a little while. She's trying to put on a brave face, but trekking across the state is really hard on her. But Richard, being understanding, is slowing down a little for her and with her.
Trying to be respectful about it.
Yes, 100%. He's being very sweet. And they stop to rest for the night, I believe, only for there to be as soon as Taylor falls asleep, there to be a thunderclap, a voice from behind, only to reveal the hanging judge that had been foreshadowed the day before as well.
Well, his noose, specifically, has dropped down. I don't know if he's there yet. Noah ended the session like a bastard.
Yeah.
Could be a regular judge and just an unrelated news. Who knows?
I'm going to take a wild guess, as this is the big bad evil guy's newest champion ever since we might have killed the last one in another game. And that's where the session ended. And that's, I believe, where we're picking up this time.
Yeah. That was a pretty thorough recap, I'll say.
What I miss?
No, I'm thinking it through, and I don't think you're missing anything.
Heck yeah, go me.
You had a heart-to-heart with what was the one guy who was really jagged and abrasive?
Yeah.
Not Tulio.
Malcolm?
I think it was Malcolm.
Was it Malcolm? Yeah, it was Malcolm.
That was
Malcolm,
the only thing I was about to.
Your disguise had the flourishy name. That's what it was.
Yes. It was I think the disguise was Rodriguez. Malcolm, who was the oldest, or rather, the person who had been in the plantation the longest, while it was still being run by while it was still a slave plantation, and convinced him to come out and try making this work, or at the very least, try looking or standing in the sunlight. If
That was part of you touching base and assessing concerns, to be fair.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was the only other thing. You may go ahead and take your hero point.
Thank you. I will, in fact, take it.
And as we once again return to this dying world of Anomalous One, we come back to, as you so wonderfully stated, minor thing going on, Mackenzie, as slowly turn around. There we go.
I think we should be proud to have. Oh fuck!
Yeah, as you sit there on this picnic bench, and you see this noose slowly coming down, there is the crackling sounds of fire. There is suddenly something bitter and ashy. You can smell through your nostrils. You can almost taste it in your tongue. There is a sudden heat flaring all around you. And as presuming you turn around to the sound of this voice that just said
Yes.
how much he's been looking forward to seeing you, then yeah, framed against the orange silhouette of the firelight is a creature, definitely dead, seems far more skeletal and just hanging on by loose tendons and flaps of skins than many other zombies, but still exudes this stench of death, covered in this ancient leather duster, black cowboy hat. You can see 2 pistols, old 6-shooter revolvers around each hip, and glowing red eyes as he smiles at you.
Obviously, Richard is hopping off this table to his feet and putting himself between Taylor. And 2 questions I'd like to ask here, just to assess my senses in all of this, because you mentioned the smell and taste of smoke and the obvious fire. Does this fire seem, I guess the word would be like artificial to it? Like, does it seem like he's controlling it, or does it seem like Taylor and I might actually be in danger of fire? I guess is my first question. No, not that. I just want to know if like I should be waking Taylor to stop her from like being burned to death or some shit.
Give me survival or investigation, your choice.
It's gonna definitely be that survival. And that's gonna be an 18.
Okay. As you take a look around, from what you can tell, you are not currently in danger. The fire is large and it is spreading, but given that you're kind of on these sort of hill with a small creek running through it, something tells you the fire is probably not going to get to the point where it actually crosses that river and into you guys. You definitely have some time here.
Okay. My other question is, once again, trusting my senses, is this guy real? Does he smell of the undeath that other zombies have? Does this seem to kind of itch my brain in the same way a Fade interaction does?
That sounds like an insight check.
It would probably be an insight check.
Well, you keeping that
So
roll?
close. I'm gonna leave it at 9. I'm done.
You don't remember falling asleep.
Oh fuck! All right. Then yeah, Richard leaping to his feet and putting himself between him and Taylor. Can I help you?
Well, I suppose. I mean, I do have to double check, seeing as this is our first meeting. You are Richard, is that correct?
I'm gonna guess that you're the hanging judge then.
There's a grin. You could see 2 or 3 rotting teeth still left in the skull. So he says, "Oh, well, what gave it away?"
Just glares him down. Doesn't really give an actual answer on it.
Probably the news.
As he waits a few beats, kind of looks around, shrugs, and, "All right, they did say that you weren't much for the bantering." As he takes a seat up on the top ledge of this picnic table you were just sitting at, crosses his fingers together, gives you another one of these sickening smiles, and still I was expecting, well, a little more chutzpah to our first meeting, considering, everything I heard about you.
Richard, as he moves to take a seat, almost in a kind of prowling motion, matching his motion to stay between him and Taylor. Well, gotta say you didn't exactly come at the best of times.
And, I apologize. Am I inconveniencing you or something?
I mean, in general, yes. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd rather you cut to the point so I can either know if I should start beating your ass, or if you're just here to drop some information and then fuck off.
Direct. I could appreciate that in a man, I suppose. Well, if we are just to skip the pleasantries and get straight down to business, I'm here because I'm obligated to lay out a certain rules of engagement going forward.
Alright.
And, well, I'm, supposing you got that little notebook explaining who exactly I'm replacing.
Fortunately.
And as much as I know you're going to think I'm just lying to your face, Dog had a sweet spot for you and your friend.
Richard scoffs, rolling his eyes before, I think, being a little bit more upright, as I'm guessing I'm getting the sense here that he is just genuinely here to talk, albeit in an antagonistic manner.
Oh, I'm telling the truth. I mean, honestly, sincerely think about it. Exactly how many times did you end up being a thorn in our side and you just ended up walking away from it?
Well, I haven't exactly been keeping count, but quite a few, I'm sure.
Yeah. I blame Dog and his, sweetheart infatuation with you. Up until the end, he figured that the two of you were just wayward lambs and eventually you'd snap back into the program. But I feel like at this point we both know that's not gonna happen.
Sure as hell ain't.
But I am a man of justice, and so to be fair, I'll lay down the law for both you and John. Very simple, very straightforward. Neither of you should really have any trouble with this one. Stick your nose in our affairs anywhere in this wasteland, and I kill someone the two of you care about.
Kind of a fucked up layer of justice. Kind of sounds like you're making up your own rules on that one.
As there is another one of these sickening smiles and justice. Tell me, Richard, what do you think justice is?
I think it's, well, everyone doing their best to survive at this point and making their own choices. And unfortunately, you and your friends keep trying to take those choices away.
So that's what justice is. Anarchy, freedom at the cost of other people's health and comfort.
Well, that's the kind of justice you're putting out right now.
No. Tell you what justice is to me, and what justice is to most of the world. See, justice is the stick we give out to all the tricky dicks and the slippery johns that are too stupid to take the carrot, because, let's be honest, Richard, if we take half a second to be honest with ourselves, morals and ethics are just fairy tales people tell themselves in order to make peace with the fact that they just become, well, good little worker drones that don't really amount to a hill of beans in this world. I mean, if I go out and tell my neighbor, please, don't steal my food, because that would be wrong, he's gonna laugh in my face and steal absolutely everything I've got behind my back. But if I go up to him and I tell him, you lay one finger on my food, and I'm gonna lock you in a cold concrete hole where the sun don't shine, and some fat bastard named Mike is gonna violate you with his big greasy Richard the first time you bend over, well, just like magic, all of a sudden he listens to me. And if he tries to call my bluff, empty threats are useless, aren't they?
Richard narrows his eyes.
That's justice.
So, are you able to be the only one putting out these laws here?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the only one decreeing these laws, then, well, I've got the three highest authorities in the land throwing their own gravitas behind my courtroom, so, you know, I'd say they're about as authentic as anything can be in the wasteland.
I'm gonna give you one warning. If you lay a finger on my people, the talking head that lives under a sink that I heard about recently is gonna have a twin.
He laughs, and There we go. Now that is the Shakespearean wit that I have come to expect from Richard. Tell me, did you put both your brain cells into that one, or is one just working extra hard today?
You dick.
Gotta roll a will save here. Hold on. I gotta really decide if, because this is a real coin toss on if I pull a Richard. Oh boy. I don't think he finishes that sentence. I think as he's halfway through, the chain is unhooked from his belt and there is the metal meat hooks swinging through the air towards his head.
You want to roll an attack roll on that?
Fuck yeah, I do. Oh, our first attack roll of the Foundry.
Hey.
It's going to be a 18.
Okay. And as the meat hook goes straight into his skull through the neck, you could go ahead and take a hero point if you didn't already have 3. As the attack does not seem to faze him whatsoever. And as he kind of jolts, turns to face you, takes your arm a little bit with the motion, there's another smile, and though physically he shouldn't be able to talk, considering that you have cleaved straight through his windpipe, there is a cackling laugh, and then, oh my goodness, and then he ups himself. What's next? A shank in an iambic pentameter? Don't strain yourself, little bard.
There is a few tugs at the chain, seeming a little startled, actually, as I do get dragged a bit, before he will right himself. Look, I got your warning, you've got mine. I'm not really sitting here wanting to play with you.
Oh, and it was just getting interesting, too. Fair enough, though. Though, to, give you something to think about, after, as he rubs the large hole in his chin that you've now given him, after you've given me your own little parting gift, I appreciate the bluster you gave, but last time I checked, you and yours sleep. And with that, there's all of a sudden a jolt of adrenaline as you proceed to wake up in your sleeping bag.
God damn
Next
it.
to Taylor. With,
Is Taylor, like, doing her watch right now?
yes, she is.
Richard sits up, nearly stumbling as he tries to get out of his bag. Damn it! Damn it! Looking around to confirm that this was in fact a dream.
As she immediately turns around, pulls this large, flashy, golden pistol on you for a second, before she sees you, pulls it up, looks at you, and, what is it? What's wrong?
Rubs his hand over his face once he's certain that there is no smell of smoke, there is no burning embers, there is no hanging judge. As
Do you want to give me perception?
yes, I actually would if there's a chance that this motherfucker is still bumming around. It's gonna be another hook, Noah. There ain't enough hooks. Perception. There he is. That's gonna be a 22.
There is definitely no one here, and as you take a look around at your camp and the various kind of dead leaves and debris, there has been no one here. It is completely undisturbed.
It takes him a moment as he is heaving a little bit before he does seem to straighten himself for a moment. Had a bad dream.
She pauses and, is this a talk about it bad dream, or?
What time is it right now? Like, does it look like the sun's starting to peak, or?
No, it is definitely middle of the night, early morning.
I don't think he's getting sleep either way, as he will reluctantly move to sit down on the table next to her, looking out at the woods. That guy you were worried about just left me a message.
She pauses and, the hanging judge from Emily's little storybook?
Yeah.
And the message is,
Well, the usual. Keep fucking around, he's gonna start killing people we care about, and, well, I gave him a similar ultimatum.
she kind of scoffs, looks back out into the darkness, and, well, good.
What does, like, obviously, her words, what does her state seem to be at, like, that notion?
Give me insight.
Yeah. Dirty 20.
She's definitely taking it seriously. She's not just brushing it off, but she doesn't seem to be overly worried, or even at all more worried than she was.
I think he does watch her for a moment before looking back at the woods. You're, taking that well.
She turns back to you, and if he decided to open up with a threat, that means that he's actually scared of you, and he's hoping he can just intimidate you into not acting, instead of having to face you.
He nods. I don't know if he's necessarily scared of me directly, but I have a pretty good guess that he and all his friends are probably scared of John and I continuing to fuck with his plans and whatnot.
She nods, and she's silent for a few moments before she looks at you and says, "So, Peering in Dreams, this is a one of those zombie hive mind things?"
As he thinks for a moment, I think this might have been Fade related. I still am having a hard time telling the difference half the time.
Fade was what?
The dream stuff, and then this one's the brain stuff. I don't. That's gonna be a phone call with Henry and Carolyn.
So that's scary friends?
I don't know. We kind of dealt with the Fade before. Kind of came to us, other things, not the Hanging Judge. Some creepy little teddy bear thing. Real spiky looking. Needles? Needle? I'm not sure. They kept looking for, like a key for a box or something.
Taylor kind of nods and, okay, yeah, so that's definitely the scary friend page.
Yeah. We haven't really had a chance to see if they are hideable. They're interactable. Like, I punched that little bastard, and it connected. He felt it. I felt it. He enjoyed it, I think, but I think that was just him being a weird Fade thing. I don't think I've really had to fight one, and like I said, I don't know if this new Hanging Judge guy is scary friend or dead friend.
Well, he's a little bit of both, right? I mean,
I guess.
she kind of shakes her head, and as considering we're now taking the word of a 5-year-old's crayon drawings as gospel, but that was the point, right? There were a lot of things in that thing.
Yeah, I think she maybe had help from someone on our side to give us the message. Did she to Richard, I know she did to John, but at any point to Richard did she mention Timbo?
Nope.
As he shrugs after that notion then. Hey, wasn't it my turn to take the watch?
Yes, absolutely. Totally not gonna look that gift horse in the mouth. As she slides off the picnic bench.
I think he does kind of reach over and give her a hand to squeeze before she gets up fully. You rest well.
Yeah. As she lingers a moment, squeezes your hand back, and don't work yourself up too much about this. I mean, again, I know these kind of guys from Margaritaville. Way more bark than bite most of the time.
Really hoping you're right.
I'm always right.
Well, in return for that advice, let's maybe just leave the bad dreams to me in general. Have some good ones for both of us.
I will do my best on that, I suppose.
Let's chuckle a bit, where he does lean back a little while sitting on the table.
As she crawls back into her sleeping bag and goes to sleep.
Once again, watching her doze for a moment and brow furrowing as he actually really tries to figure out if that happened. He's trying to figure out if he was the first one to go to sleep. And I think he just idles for a while, occasionally checking around, but mostly just watching Taylor really nervously now.
Okay. And with that being said, John?
You a bitch, Noah.
Ah,
Seconded.
Grand Elder son of a bitch. Thank you very much. Okay. We now come back to the farm in the plantation. As I stated before, it is getting later in the evening and the night. Your message about a meeting has kind of slowly been making its circles around. And once again, people are preparing this large bonfire area to kind of hang out and talk. And I will ask, considering you have a few hours here before you will have everyone gathered up at your beck and call.
Yep.
What are you planning on doing?
So, I want to talk to Rima Al-Nadiri, i.e. the person who was a gladiator in Margaritaville.
Okay.
What I was looking for, because I believe Julia kind of pointed her out, and also I just want to see how she's adjusting to being, stateside.
Okay. All right. As you head out, and it actually takes a second to find her. The gathering gloom, the sky is turning a kind of deep purple. The trees are shading out most of the light. Most people are shadows, and therefore it takes a second to find her.
Although I will note, John has low light vision.
Oh, well then it takes you less time to find her than most others, considering she is once again wearing this outfit of all black, veil, mask, etc., though her sleeves do seem to have been rolled up. And as she is talking to a group of people, kind of out at the fringes, towards a more swampy area, the same swampy area you disposed of your former best boss you ever had, she kind of makes some furtive whispers to some individuals with torches. As she sees you approach, she finishes up her conversation, turns around, and hello there, John.
Hey, Rima. Is it Rima or Rena?
Rena. And
Rena. Appreciate it. How you adjusting to being stateside?
oh, it's boring, which is good.
Let's see, nods, and grins.
What about you? How are you adjusting to
Not
folk
being
hero?
in Margaritaville anymore. Oh well, I guess that too. But well, honestly, it's not usually my style, so still kind of an adjustment myself. But well, as he gestures around, like you, I like boring. Wish we could have boring every day.
Sadly, that's not the world we've been given.
Nah, it ain't. But as he gestures around again, this is still a pretty good deal. That's it. As he raises an eyebrow and then looks her up and down again. You still feeling pretty confident about our... I don't want to say deal, because we didn't really make a deal, but
Proposition?
that's a better word for it.
I mean, I'm certainly open to the idea, though I will admit you don't make it easy to accept.
And why is that?
500 people living here, not enough living space to accommodate them all.
You say... Sorry, out of character. Did you say 500 or 200?
500.
500. Oh, okay, I remember hearing 200. That number went up 3. Okay.
500 is the total amount of people you got here at the farm.
We
Combining
saved a lot of people.
Yeah, combining Margaritaville slaves plus everyone at the farm. So
Yeah, okay.
it's a bit.
Fair enough. He just nods, eyes widening and looking off to the side. Yeah.
Not to mention, pretty much everything agriculturally is going to have to be restarted from scratch, and, well, that many people in an unsecured location, very disorganized, make a very tempting target to the undead, especially a large mass of them somewhere in Georgia.
Yeah. Sure would be. Speaking of, you must have heard they're planning a little bit of a town meeting tonight.
She gives a nod, and I heard, partly why I took upon myself to tried to scout the area out and see if there were any vulnerabilities.
And I appreciate that. I've been looking internally myself.
She fully turns towards you, and you strike me as a man who doesn't plan ahead very often.
Makes you think that.
Well, the fact that you said I appreciate that in a way that makes me believe you didn't quite think of this yourself.
As he just gives her a grin and shakes his head. That, or I knew there was somebody with a certain skill and mindset that would take care of it for me.
Right. Which you didn't double check with to make sure if that was happening.
Confidence. As he grins. And then, after a while, the grin does fade and he bobs his head. Or at least the facade of it.
That's something you do seem to have in spades. Even back at Margaritaville.
As he nods slowly. Which is also something I wanted to talk to you about if you were open to it.
What specifically?
As he gestures around with both his hands out to his side.
Staying here?
As he nods slowly. More than just staying here. You mentioned it was a bit of a disorganized mess and that anybody might come in and, swoop in and take the spoils for themselves, zombie or not. It's a bit of a mess. I think we all can admit that. But how would you mind it being your mess?
Oh, well, you make it sound so appealing.
He grins and shakes his head. World we live in, right?
And she pauses. And there are a few long moments where she kind of looks around, very slowly nods, and on the condition that they accept me.
He nods at that. Not just that. I'd like to set up the idea of an election, but that won't work right now. Like you said it yourself, we're vulnerable. Now, I'm of the opinion that in the short term, democracy is dangerous. Long-term democracy, or at least something like unto it, is necessary. And these people need to realize and remember that they have a choice. I don't expect all 500 people to stick around, especially when the caravan comes by. A lot of them probably going to make their way on out. We built a cabin here today, and I wanted to do that to show them that, hey, this place is yours, and you can make it what you want. My proposal to you, if you accept it, and if they accept you, is that you take, shall we say, temporary command for a set period of time. I was thinking 3 months. And after that, we hold elections.
She gives a nod to that. And what becomes of the excess food being made here?
Well, whatever excess is made and produced and stockpiled, should be stockpiled. Winter's coming up, so we'll need to find some way to, won't much be growing in the winter, except maybe in the greenhouses, and not going to sustain everybody. So I don't expect there to be much excess food in the beginning. But eventually, I think it'd be a good idea to trade with the caravan. Right now, the place has food. It just needs to be harvested and replanted, processed, kept. What it doesn't have is other supplies. We got stuff we can build things, but as he shakes his head again, he, won't get much out of it from very long.
Have to say that's surprising.
Huh?
Seeing you operate with Sammy and the Payne brothers, I'd assumed you'd already be mentally spending those doubloons in your mind.
Hell no. They don't belong to me. Like I said, I'd like this place to be self-sufficient. Frankly, it'll be kind of your decision, or, you and your people's decision, as he gestures around. Should you accept as well, I say Eliza is a good second, or a secretary, whatever you want to call her. Very organized. She's been organizing people up at the house. She'd be very useful to you.
Is she planning on sticking around?
He bobs his head. I think she is. Haven't quite asked her, but she was open to the idea. As was Harry. I think Harry's going to find a lot of... I think he'll find a lot of purpose here. Sid's likely not sticking around.
She nods. That's kind of a shame. Seems fairly comfortable around that side arm of his.
He is. He might use some convincing, but he's got a lot of, shall we say, negative connotation to this place. Maybe different to everybody else, but you might try your hand at convincing him to stick around if you want.
She scoffs. Negative connotation, like most of us don't.
Well, it's about a girl. Anyway, as he shakes his head again, I appreciate you stepping up. But like I said, I'm hoping unless you take to it and they take to you, maybe it'll only be temporary.
Well, it's not like I have many other plans at the moment.
Fair enough. But caravan's coming by and out of character again. When did the caravan say they'd probably be back if all goes well?
Somewhere between 3 to 5 months.
3 to 5 months, okay. Still shrug again. After 3 months or so, caravan might be by any time. Could hop a ride there too.
She kind of pauses, looks out in the fields as she sees one of the more distant approach torchlights kind of turn around, start coming back. And John, I don't think you have 3 to 5 months with some of these people.
He nods. Yeah. What makes you say that, though?
Well, I think some are going to stay, but the ones that are going to stay... As she pauses, you can see she's really having trouble with the words for a moment.
Don't
Before
have
she
anywhere else to go.
It's not that, it's just... Do you have anyone you're wondering about?
How do you mean? Cocks his head.
Wife, kids, parents?
Fortunately, unfortunately, no, not really. As he also looks off toward the torchlight.
Some of these people do. Some of these people haven't quite given up on that. And that's going to lead quite a few of them out into the wasteland.
Not that.
You have any idea how they're supposed to survive out there?
No. So I was hoping to convince them to stick around, at least until the caravan got back. Although, you bring up a good point as he taps his finger. We do have a bit of an in with the Dakota Free Zone radio. That might be something we could do. Get lines of contact out. At least have people here let those loved ones know if they're still around.
She gives a nod and... quite honestly, some of these people here need information more than anything else. You want to make sure you have the most contingent staying. You gotta give them something to at least hold out for.
He cocks his head again.
Wonder how many memories have been just lost.
He pauses and considers that. Rolls his jaw. Well, outside of all that, you got any other concerns, maybe? Things you want done?
Oh, plenty. But I'll save that for after the meeting. I can get a head count on how many people we think are staying.
Roughly by my estimation, from what I've gathered. As I look up my notes from that, roughly about half.
Well, I could swing either way depending on what you say at the fire tonight.
He nods. All right. Well, hey, again, I appreciate you, Rena.
Well, I suppose I should say some kind of thank you, getting me out of that hellhole. So,
From one to another, but at least this one you get to make some decisions. Looks back to her. You know what? How about you? You got anybody else out there?
this is a long sigh where she looks out to the darkness. It's just now slowly becoming a pooling, inky black. Nods and husband.
Where's he at, if you don't mind my asking?
No idea. Got the call to evacuate in the middle of a work day. At the time I was worried about my 2 kids. Not something I have to worry about anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I've resigned myself to the fact that he either died to bandits or became infected himself somewhere during the panic days. So,
What's his name?
Amon.
He nods at that. Mom. Last name?
Same as mine.
Al-Nadiri. Amon Al-Nadiri.
But unless you have some way of getting lives out of bones and walking corpses, just have to wait for answers in the next life.
Maybe.
We haven't met anyone by that name, have we?
I was just thinking.
Not that you know of.
I was thinking Jamal for a second, and I was like, oh no.
No, not him. That'd be very unfortunate, though.
Incredibly. But yeah, as John will look back to her and give her a small, sad smile. Well, stranger things have happened as he gestures toward himself.
She looks you up and down and... You, what? Going to give a shot at charming the living dead?
Did it once before, as he smirks. Well, sorta. Not quite. I don't know if charming so much as disarming, but hey.
Shakes her head. And, yeah, you are definitely not the planning type.
Long cons are very risky, as he smirks and shakes his head. I prefer short term, get out, do it all over again. But, yeah, I appreciate you being the one to think ahead. And I think these people could really use that.
Well, I suppose someone's gotta.
All right. Well, then I'll see you tonight.
She gives a nod at that. Turns back to the torchlight, which is getting much closer now.
All right. And I guess he'll make his way on out.
Okay.
And just a real quick question, as he's just going to briefly check in with everybody. Unless it's a longer conversation, he'll check again with Eliza and Harry and ask if they're cool to stay here maybe a little bit long term.
Give me insight.
Sure thing.
I gotta say, it's these interactions in general that really do put into perspective of how the fuck has Richard and John lived this long. Well,
right?
Not live this long, but you know what I mean.
14.
As you talk to them, you find Harry tinkering away with some engines.
Mm-hmm.
And as you talk, he is not one for saying a whole lot, but you get from his countenance and just kind of the way he seems to be floating from one project to the other without any complaint, doing most of these on his own initiative. Harry is probably most likely okay staying here for the long term. But as you talk again with Eliza and go over a few more things and pleasantries and whatnot, you have a harder time getting a fix on her. She's definitely going to be here for the immediate future, but you don't know how much longer.
Gotcha. Well, I think he'd also broach the subject of possibly assisting Rena if she were to take up a leadership position.
Which she seems a little bit more comfortable with, but the same ambiguity
Gotcha.
is still definitely there.
All right.
I will also say, as you kind of finish up your conversation with Eliza, there,
It's like, Elijah?
kind of exit as you leave her behind back in the house where she's once again kind of inventorying supplies and whatnot. You see Georgie climb back onto the porch, make eye contact with you, and kind of give you a vague gesture to come over and talk to him.
He'll veer that way. Meander his way over, hop into a seat.
He kind of casually pulls you away from any easy earshot of anyone else. And I've been thinking about your proposition yesterday. Well,
See,
I suppose
race.
today. Long day.
Yeah, sure feels like 2 weeks ago. Still smirk and shake his head. And what do you think?
Well, first off, I don't think it's a bad idea, and I think it's worth pursuing, but I can't be the head of it.
He nods. I didn't think so. You're a busy man. You got your own projects.
Well, less that. Trust me, I want to be the head of it, but if it feeds you information, and if I'm involved, then there's a chance our enemy could use it to sow division with one of the only genuine lines of intel we still have working in the wasteland.
It's fair enough.
But, like I said, I do think it's worth pursuing, and I'm going to keep an ear to the ground for potential candidates.
I appreciate that. I think the main point of it is just to spread information, much like the Dakota Free Zone does over the radio, but more, freedom fightery, I guess.
He nods. Well, I would say you take your think, figure out how to set up your fall guy, what exactly your goals are. Once you got everything straightened out, there's someone you're going to have to see.
Who's that?
Crazy Harold.
Crazy Harold.
Mm-hmm.
The name feels familiar, although I feel like it maybe shouldn't.
Well, technically, theoretically, he doesn't exist. But, operation like yours is going to need communication infrastructure. Seriously widespread and sophisticated communication infrastructure. He's the only man that's going to be able to handle that.
Gotcha. Who is this man?
Well, lives in the middle of Nebraska. Little socially off-putting, but you'll get used to his tics soon enough. As for references, well, I suppose about all you need to ensure his competency is the fact that Coda Free Radio is still running, despite how much those three bastards out in the wasteland want to take it down.
He grins at that and nods. Now that sounds pretty good. Now, how about for references that I can use to get my foot in the door?
Well, kind of thinks about that for a second, and I mean, Harold is he's a well-kept secret. So if you're able to find him, that's number one. For number two, well, let me put it this way, you're already pretty good friends with a lot of his other clients.
Duly noted. Anyway, you might give him a letter of introduction for me.
He nods, and I'll pass it along that you're looking to set up a meet at some point.
I appreciate that, Georgie. Thank you.
Nods, and though to be honest with you, I mean, like I said, you got Wozniak, Blackhawk, Nash. You got half of the Seven speaking for you. That's probably enough alone.
He inclines his head at that. Well, then, hopefully we can make this a reality.
Hopefully.
And hopefully we can, share that information with anybody who can make it useful.
Gives a nod, and I will work on recruitment, potential organization. Like I said, you set up your fall guy and you let me know who your targets are.
Appreciate that. Remind me again about this fall guy. Give me any tips you might, or who it should be.
Well, it should be someone, you know, fairly well enough that you can fake their personality when meeting with agents. Should also definitely be someone who has a believable interest in the wider wasteland. Somebody who, for lack of a better word, would be nosy.
No.
And for reasons that should be very obvious, shouldn't be anyone you care about too much.
Huh. Does he actually get something of a predatory grin on his face? You don't say.
As he looks over, and something tells me you've already got a name in mind.
Oh, one, at least. He shakes his head. I'll be thinking about it. Thank you.
He gives a nod. Turns away to the kind of large fields, which a lot of these droopy trees are in. There's a bright orange glow, as it seems someone has lit this large bonfire. You can see people now slowly gathering around it. He gives a nod towards it, and Well, I suppose I better save my seat before someone else takes it.
Yeah. Best we get to it, I think. Wish me luck. Or a broken leg. I don't know if what this counts as.
As he gives another look to you, and be honest, I'm not sure what either would do to you at this point.
Well, I mean, my leg can still break, even if I can make it look like. As he bends his knee the wrong way for a second.
I would advise you to never do that again, ever.
Oh, but it's so fun watching people react to it. As he grins again. Continues walking.
Shakes his head. As presumably the heading over to the bonfire.
Yep.
All right.
Showtime.
And on that note, we will head back to Mackenzie for a brief second.
When he says showtime, I'm terrified that he's wearing the zoot suit again.
Showtime. Bada doop, bada zoop.
Never escape it. Never escape the zoop.
That feels like a t-shirt that would just be found in a mall abandoned where no one wants that shirt.
It's just in the death mall somewhere.
Yeah.
But Mackenzie,
Yes.
as you're about 100 miles closer to the east at this point.
I thought we double timed it for the first half and then walked normally the second half.
You walk normally the first half because you said you didn't want to push Taylor too hard.
No, I hustled the first chunk.
Yeah, they definitely hustled the first chunk and then...
Yeah, because I have a
went
negative
normal the
currently.
second. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well then, yeah.
And that was what tired Taylor out so much.
Yes.
So you are 300 miles.
First half was hustling, second half was just normal walking.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you are 150 miles.
Yeah. And I've got a -1 to my will right now, which is perfect. That's what I want going on right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
Especially with the gentleman you just met.
Might have been part of why I swung on him.
With 250 miles to go. And with that, I will also give a quick reminder. Since we are in the transition from night to day, that is 1 day of your promised 2 days of free time before I can start doing world clock stuff.
Yeah. It was either this, though, or Richard with a, okay vehicle skill, and then Taylor with, I don't think any vehicle skill, risk the suicide boat. So,
No suicide boat.
on one hand, we're going to be a bit. On the other hand, we are going to be back.
Bold, but
Sure. Be back. Definitely be back.
Lovely. Thank you, Noah.
But,
let me also mark off food and water for today for myself.
yes. Do that, please, good sir.
Party
I
supplies.
believe I already did. That's
You
how
I did it for the
because
previous
you-
day. There's a slight time differentiation between the two of us.
Also true.
I will require you to do it by the end of the campfire talk.
Sounds good.
Jeez. Should I mark down for Taylor as well, or does she have her own supplies she's dipping
She has
into?
her own supplies.
Okay,
You don't have to worry about her for the moment.
for the moment.
As the sun is slowly beginning to peek out in this coastal area, the morning comes with fog, large rolling gray clouds of it that kind of coat the landscape, turn everything into more hazy silhouettes and suggestions than actual objects. Guys, take a second, pack your camp, are ready to begin heading out again. How are we traveling?
I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do an idle hike for both parts of the day.
Both parts of the day?
Yeah, I don't want to burn out my will any further now that has happened, and I'm sure Taylor also just doesn't want a day of being pushed if possible.
Okay. So you're going to take 100 miles? Leave you 50 miles away from the car today?
Oh, is it?
You got to make 250 miles to get to that car.
Oh yeah, I think what we might do is we might start with a harsh hustle and then ease down to a normal walk for the latter half to get there at the evening.
Okay. So double time. One block of double time will take you 75 miles, and one
Okay.
block of redlining will take you 100 miles.
And you said we have 250 to get there.
Yep.
Ah, fuck.
Redlining takes a -2 to will and -1 to fort. Double time takes -1 will only.
We're gonna do double time and then a single hike, and this might have to be a 3-day thing,
Okay.
unfortunately.
All right.
Big unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well,
Do I mark off the -1 will at the end of the day?
-2 will and -1 fort at the end of the day. Yes.
No, not for the full blitz. The one that was just -1 will.
Oh, you're just taking that?
Yeah.
You gonna
'Cause
do
we're
that
doing-
twice?
No, we're gonna do that once and then once of the normal hike.
So you'd be going to $125 today.
Okay.
Yeah, basically the same as the other day before.
That -1 will come at the end of the day.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure if I should mark it now or not.
5. Okay. Which will take you to 225 out of
And then-
400 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a suck.
It's going to be a little bit of a suck.
All
You
right.
know, sure the clocks are gonna start ticking, but at the very least, like, I don't want to be stranded. I have Taylor here, which she has her fucking kick-ass gun, and I know she's gonna put down some zombies. But like, if something happens to me and Taylor out here, John will never know. At least until like Twizzles goes like, Richard fucking died. So I will say I'd rather be careful with my time spent than risking both me and an ally.
Okay. This is gonna be
What?
fun.
What?
No, nothing you need to worry about. Everything's fine.
Oh boy.
We're gonna take a bit of Hollywood time split because I didn't realize what I was doing when I planned this. But hey Brian,
Yes.
do you remember how the political debate combat works?
A little bit.
But Noah, I'm
Yeah.
not there to make witty threats at a man who's been bitten twice by a zombie.
No, you're
And
not.
Tulsa's not there to be fucking weird.
Yeah. How very sad.
Good luck,
So-
John.
So, I will say, John, how many people you end up having stay here will depend on this debate. And unlike our normal debates, where you and
opponent.
you and the party have control over when the debate ends,
Uh-huh.
those boxes at the top are how many turns you've got.
I see.
Once you run out of boxes, the points are stay where they are.
Gotcha.
Politics and a chase scene?
Interesting.
You don't see it chase.
No, but it's the track.
It is kind of. It is a fusion.
One day I'll make you do both.
Yeah.
Debate with me on the back of a moving motorcycle.
Oh no.
I only do card games on those, sorry. Glad the world ended before we had to experience that.
Okay. So, when you are ready, Brian, roll me that presence.
Sure thing. Actually putting the thing away. Bam. Wow.
This is the hero point.
I don't know if it is. Because I got one.
That's a nat 1 though, Brian.
But like I don't know.
Okay, out of curiosity, Noah, do we know what this present stat is determining?
Oh yeah, this is initiative order.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh,
it's
okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, I'll say I think I'll keep the 5. Besides, that may be where I want to be anyway, so.
I was terrified that was gonna be Brian's initial opening impression.
No, I don't think so.
They saw the Zoot suit.
They saw
saw
the
it.
Zoot suit. No, nah.
They saw what you did to Richard, and they're like, "Are
No.
these really the guys we want to have save us?"
Well, I don't think they have a choice on that anymore.
Yeah, that kind of already happened.
That ship already sailed, literally.
Quite literally.
I will let you know, Brian,
Uh-huh.
you're currently set dead last.
I
You want to
guess...
stay dead last? Or
You know
wanna
what?
Spend that hero point.
Oh, no, I'm going to
Well-
keep that hero point.
Can I make a suggestion for you, Brian?
Oh, boy.
This
what's
might be
up?
a benefit because it means you now have the opportunity to counter everything that is
That's
said.
basically where I'm at.
Mind you, it also means you might have to undo any damage they cause, but
Potentially, but we'll let it ride because, yeah, like I said, I'm going to hang on to my hero point.
do we actually want to take a moment to just pause part?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Make
It's
sure
usually
it's
our,
fresh.
usually our normal pause time anyway.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like I'd like to kind of get this going and then just like roll into it. So
Dramedy. Yeah. Let's do that. We will
All
be right back. As we come back in to the campfire, we have a very large crowd of people gathered around. Some of them are definitely looking worse for wear. Most of them are wearing rags, scavenged blankets. Nothing really seems like it matches. Most of it has holes. In the humid Louisiana air, there are still a few people shivering from the cold. A lot of the faces do look a little starved. But sitting around the campfire, closest to the fire, you do also see 6 faces. Very familiar faces that you've talked to earlier in the day. Seems Georgie, Eliza, Julie, Harry, Malcolm, and Rena are here. As both you and Georgie kind of come in, Georgie sits on a nearby tree stump, takes a moment, kind of looks at the crowd, clears his throat. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming. I suppose it's no secret what this meeting's about, or what we're trying to do here. I know a lot of you don't currently have anywhere to go, and some of you may have places you're looking to move on. Those of you who don't, we have this ranch. We're thinking it could potentially do a lot of good out there, but in order for it to do that, we need people. We need help. So, anyone who can afford to stay here, stay behind. And as he kind of trails off a tiny bit, Rena seems to take this moment to speak. She kind of looks around the group, and for the time being, I've been asked by John, as she gives a hand over to you, to
John inclines his head.
stay around and help organize things. But to start off, I do want to ask if anyone here has any ideas on what we need to be doing first. As far as I can tell, we have 3 major issues. We have the fact that operations are not currently up and running. We have the fact that we currently don't have enough housing for everyone, and we have a very large hole in security at the moment. So all 3 of these really need to be addressed before we make any progress. To which Julie almost immediately jumps in. Well, housing, right? I think I speak for everyone here saying that everyone here deserves a warm bed, safe place to stay before we focus on anything else.
Yeah.
And there is a few murmurs of assent from the crowd, for there is a voice of a unknown person somewhere in the darkness. It does kind of rumble and shout out, "How the hell are we supposed to do that without any supplies?" And as Harry, Eliza, and Malcolm seem to stay silent, don't say anything, eyes turn to you, John.
As John nods at the lull in conversation, as he'll stand up and look out over the crowd. Well, first off, that's been really impromptu and a little disorganized. That's kind of my style. But, well, I'm hoping maybe we can change things a little bit of that for the better. Obviously, everybody's kind of been thrown into the soup, as it were. But let me tell you a little bit. Again, for those of you who may not have been paying attention, my name's John, and I want to thank you all for coming on out here today. A little bit about me. Before all this, I had a bit of a rougher history, but before that, I was something of an actor. Based out of Georgia, actually. As he grin. I've been a little up and down the south side of things here. Never made it so far into Louisiana, though. I wish I could have seen it in better days. Maybe put a little Cajun in my lifetime. Maybe a little bit more than I did before. Though I do speak French. As John is just kind of going to try and ingratiate himself and take the connect action. As he'll maybe wax a little bit about the... wax a little poetic about the South itself. Believe that would possibly just be a persuasion?
Persuasion, unless you can make a argument for a different skill you'd like to use.
I think I would like persuasion, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take a 22.
Okay, 22. Which gives a +4 bonus to all your allies' actions. And I'm realizing I have this set to self rolls.
Actually, if I remember correctly, granting a bonus to all actions directed at that specific side for the rest of the debate. Determined by your relevant roll. Is what it says here, anyway.
Yes, though. I guess there's only really two sides to this debate, though. Stay at the farm or leave the farm.
Gotcha. Oh, for a side. Okay. I thought he was ingratiating himself into the crowd, rather. But, I think maybe, yeah, like for the side of staying at the farm, I feel like.
All right.
Because he kind of deflects the question here for a moment to talk about the farm itself here.
So we have a +4 bonus to things moving forward, but then does bring it back to Georgie, who does give a nod at your story. Turns back to the crowd, and we'll, as John's pointed out, we do have quite a few people here that are familiar with this kind of land and this kind of work. We also have some people maybe a bit more unfamiliar, maybe taken from different places, but I'm pretty sure we can come together, make this work. There's plenty of knowledge just here, as with the bonus. Ooh, he needed that. There are a few more heads turning, it appears. You seem to starting to gain a foothold amongst the crowd, as Raina seems a little impatient as she interrupts Georgie kind of mid-sentence, and again, that's all well and good. But once again, we have a concrete issue in front of us. We have an issue with housing, and we need to, considering we have a large amount of people here, and if everyone stays, which I hope most people stay, we do have to find a number of spacing for them. +8. Uh-oh. Hang on.
That looked like a natural 20.
That does look like a natural 20. And, John?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's a genuine concern now that she brought it up. There's a few people doing the math in their heads amongst the crowd, and there's a good amount of, there is no way there's going to be enough space for everyone. There might not even be enough space for most people. As,
Fair enough.
Julie kind of jumps in and again is like, well, we have plenty of scrap. We have plenty of junk. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about constructing things, but how hard can it be? We made one just earlier today. We all pitch in and work a bit more. I mean, it can't be that hard to make some more. So they +10 on that roll. It's your bonus. Seems to have lost, which wins a few people over, but seems you've, this is an issue right now, this back and forth. To the crowd at the moment, seems like they're giving forward good points, and they're not sure who to believe. Bring it to you, John.
Sure thing. As John will nod at all this, take it all in. Again, you make a good point. We got a lot of people here. By our count, somewhere in the tune of 500. Now, that's a lot of people. It's going to need a lot of food, a lot of housing, a lot of resources. As he is kind of looking around, and at that moment, he's also kind of gesturing a couple of people forward. He notices some people that were bundled up really tight. He gestures them closer to the bonfire. But as I was talking about before, I'm from the South. I think some of y'all might be here as well. The one thing that we were always known for before the fall was our hospitality and our sense of community, as he grins and looks out around at everybody else. And like you said, just today, we went up and we built ourselves a bit of a cabin for some folk. Now, yes, it ain't gonna hold everybody. That's what we did in one day. and it was done, well, as someone might have pointed out, I've done a little slapdash, which is kind of my style. And that's why, as he gestures towards Rena, I asked Rena to step up and be the one with the plan, to which she has graciously accepted on the condition that it ain't going to be a dictatorship. I think we all had enough of that. As he nods out to the crowd. But I think together, we pull ourselves together. We have the house. We have the new cabins. Yes, we do have the bunkhouses that at least keep the rain off for now. We also have the ship docked off the coast. If we have a rotation going on, at least every other day, maybe some of us can have ourselves just a little bit of comfort while we build ourselves some new comfort. There is plenty of scrap, and there's plenty of trees around here too. We can get old school with this, as he is going to propose that, hey, this is possible. We can do this.
And I will also give you your +4 bonus.
Sweet.
Has not ended yet.
So it's this +4. You know what? I hate to use it so early.
I think it's needed though, because they've caused a really big issue here.
Yeah, this is a real big one. I will use it, and I will go ahead and re-roll that from a 12 to wow, 22.
It is a 22. You do get the +10 being under 11.
With the bonus that they give you?
No, actually, that was a 26 then. Thank you. As John is calling upon the spirit of the South and showing that, hey, look what we did today, just in one day.
And with that, I will say you seem to have regained your lead, and then a little bit more, as there are nods from the crowd. There are people that seem to be agreeing with what you're saying. Georgie once again steps in and want to reiterate, I was there in Margaritaville with a lot of you. Saw how much bad happened. And, well, personally, this is a chance to honestly do some good. Be a real blessing for the wasteland. So he's going to roll that with just his straight +10 now. And rolls a 5.
15.
Which actually seemed to have also one green at your side, as she is nodding along. She does say, they make a good point about the ship, actually. I mean, just in wood and building materials alone, it's quite a bounty, though we do have to find some way of running it closer up ashore. I mean, can't exactly disassemble it while it's still on the waves, but brings us quite a bit more building materials. 14, which Julie is also kind of nodding along. There's a large smile on her face. She is gathering some of the people you've gestured a bit closer to the fire. Seems to be whispering things to them. And there are a few kind of smiles and nods and whatnot.
14 twice.
I did roll 14 twice, this time with a 6 though. But for the first time, Harry kind of speaks up. There's a bit of excited mumbling around the crowd before he takes his fingers out of his beard, opens his mouth, and I hate to rain on the parade, all things considered, but do feel the need to point out that that ship is gonna be a hell of a thing to scavenge. With us being on the Mississippi Delta and everything, water gets real shallow for quite a ways ways. Closest we could get that thing before we beach it is maybe 50 feet. Then we're looking at a lot of mud and sand. Anyone trying to hobble their way out. Not sure how conducive that's going to be to prying boards apart and whatnot. Wow. Okay.
Good boy.
NPCs only want to roll good when it doesn't help you. I see how it is.
The jerks. Listen,
It's okay,
listen here,
John can battle with him.
And on that note, the optimism begins to fade a bit, as there are some murmurs in the crowd. And then there is once again another invisible voice that does speak up, and it's somewhere towards the back. And how in the world are we supposed to know that any of this is going to actually get to us, not just get yanked out of our hands like last time? So they rolled with a +15.
Of course they did, you jerks. 28 and a 25. Elba.
You're making progress, but once again, reality and a bit of bitterness left over from their former lives has reclaimed some of that.
As I assumed it was my turn next.
It is your turn.
Oh, wonderful. As
You get a
John,
plus 2 to any rolls you do, by the way.
fantastic, thank you. As
I also do want to make a point real quick. The initial angle was that we could use the ship for living quarters, not necessarily to strip it, correct?
hang on, let me talk. Let me cook. As John puts his hands up, kind of placatingly. Friends, please. There's valid concerns. Very, very valid. And I want to address both of those points. But to address the first one, we don't need to... Well, hold on, actually. I'm going to get back to that point, Harry. But as he gestures towards the crowd where I heard the voice, I want to address that one first. I wish I could give you a solid, bound in iron, irrefutable evidence. But all you got is, well, one, numbers, as he grins and gestures around at everybody. And two, we all need each other to survive all of this. Now, I proposed, as he gestures towards Rena, that Rena take command, as he used his finger, like air quotes with his fingers, for a specific period of time, after which, and during which time, we set up a system of elections. Now, I am 100% certain that right now what we need is, in fact, decisive action, as he gestures towards Harry and Rena. The points you make, very valid. Right now, we need housing. We need to make sure we got enough food to feed everybody and enough shelter for everybody. Winter's coming, and we need to come together and get ready for that. And for that, we need someone who is decisive, someone with a plan, someone who will be constantly advised to the needs of everybody. And after that, no more than 3 months from now, I say, Rena will be the one to spearhead all that. She has the experience, and she has a good head on her shoulders. And after that, and during which time, and you can absolutely talk to any one of us, I mean, as he gestures out again to the plantation, not a single one of us is salmon. You can test us on that every single day. Talk to us, please. Introduce yourselves. I look forward to hearing every one of y'all's story as much as I can. If I had all the time in the world, I would ask each and every one of you. But I would propose that Rena take command until such a time that we can set up our own elections. And I think he'll leave it at that.
Okay. You want to give me a roll?
I will happily give you my persuasion.
And what was it, plus 2 on
my
this?
gosh.
John, you know what you have to do.
Natural one.
You know what you have to do.
But man, I don't have any.
By all means, we're not playing Summer Friends tomorrow
Shut up.
or anything.
No,
Shut up.
no. You know what you have to do.
Shut up. Nope. I don't have any freaking hero points. And I am not going to kick this can down the road.
You need that roll of sacrificial 1d100 though, dude. Like,
Yeah.
get that out of there.
So,
Wait, didn't you spend some points on luck points?
I don't think so.
Because we did some minor retweaking, and I thought you had taken some.
Let me check, but I don't think so. Nope.
Oh, shite.
and your points are good, and they seem to have resonated with one or two individuals.
I'm gonna need somebody else to help me out here. I'm dying out here.
As he sees you kind of starting to falter a bit. Almost critically fail if one had to put it in a phrase. You still got 11. That's kind of insane.
13 give you your +2.
That is true. Actually, yeah, 13. Even more insane. Georgie kind of very clears his throat. I think what John's trying to say is that despite whatever particular problems or issues we are facing, we got enough people, we have enough know-how, and you're willing to provide it. We have enough spirit to get past it all. I mean, I'm not going to say that anything here is going to be particularly easy. I don't think I'm going to lie to any one of you. You don't deserve that. It's going to be hard, but I know you can pull through. Hell, I've seen you guys do a whole lot more with a whole lot less. Which, plus
Thank you, Georgie. Thank you. That was a 21 from Georgie.
Was a 21 from Georgie. To which, Marina seems to be silent, contemplative at the moment. It's Julie, who just kind of seems to nod and also jumps in and says, I mean, be honest, he's right. I mean, be brutally honest for just a moment. It's a miracle any of us are alive at all. And I don't just mean with everything that happened with the ship and John and Richard and all of that. I mean, we've gotten through a whole lot worse with absolutely no rewards. And now we'd be building something for ourselves. Which,
Yeah. She rolls a 17.
as there is more appreciative murmurs from the crowd, you seem to have won more people over at this point than you have at any other point in the debate. There is one voice, though, that does speak out and ask, hey, any of you actually sure this is going to work? I mean, this is a whole lot of people, and I'm not sure how well any of us really know each other, all things considered.
Who is this?
Not sure.
Random voice in the crowd.
Another
Got it.
voice. Yep, another random voice in the crowd. Bringing it back to your turn, John.
All right. As John will shake his head. You're right. We don't really know each other. A lot of y'all was still on the mainland. A lot of y'all was out in Margaritaville proper. Good riddance. But that's the beautiful thing about this. These times, well, as awful as they are, and sometimes they make strange bedfellows. Sometimes they can really forge some fantastic friendships. I know myself. Well, I don't know who or where I'd be without Richard. We've been through shit together. All of us been through shit together. And y'all been through some of the toughest shit there is. I know if anybody can do this, it's y'all. And for the record, I just want to point out, Harry, and everybody else, dismantling that ship is going to be a bitch. And it ain't going to be our problem and shouldn't be our problem for a long ass time. For now, I say we just use that as more living quarters. I mean, some people might never have gotten the joys of being lulled to sleep on the ocean waves. It ain't perfect, but for right now, it's at least waterproof. As John is going to refute the idea that we can't do this.
All right, give me that roll then.
I will happily give you another roll. A pursuit. Come on! Another natural
Ryan,
one.
You
for a
got
13.
Ryan. You gotta like.
Listen,
You-
every
you
time
need a
we
point.
extra effort, something worse happens.
You gotta though, dude.
Come on,
Like-
come on, Brian. The man currently with a -2 will who got threatened by a weird nightmare judge is telling you to extra effort. No way that backfires. It's not like extra efforting specifically affects the Fade, of which you're playing one campaign in, and an enemy, and a new enemy in this campaign has just shown up with some potential connections to it.
I'll just freaking take it.
You're gonna
Ouch.
take the 11.
I'll
Wow.
take the 13. Thank you very much. If I still have that +2, I don't know if I still have the +2.
You do not have the +2.
Fine, I'll take the 11. Dang it. Can't even give me my 2.
Man.
Seems like the 2 might have been something Julie did during that round.
Son of a gun.
No, he's in the other campaign.
Son of a bitch.
No, she's also in the other campaign.
2
Okay.
nat 1s in a freaking row. Dang it.
All right, as that brings it back to top around Georgie. For once, it seems quiet. Doesn't come in to help you with the save,
Fair enough.
but Raina does speak up. I mean, that's a fair enough point. And to be honest, with the whole aspect of not knowing each other, I'm not sure how much that matters in this new world, given that whatever lives we have, to be frank, they're probably not coming back. Point is, we're going to have to make our peace with that at some point. It might be easier to just make that peace if we're doing it together, which, plus 18, she took a second to think about it. That is a 30.
That is a 30. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm assuming it's bad because you rolled high.
Dude, your dice, it's been 2 2s and then 2 1s.
Your dice figured out that you're doing something important.
You gotta recolor them to punish them.
Okay. Julie seems to be in hushed conversation with the people next to her.
Oh boy.
Not really saying anything. The crowd is silent. It is feeling really awkward, honestly, at the moment. Nobody seems to have really jumped in with any large moving remarks, which brings the silence directly into your hands, John.
Yeah. No.
You could reiterate on the boat, because you mentioned just lulling to sleep. The fact is, we know those boats hold a lot of people, and they do have cushy stuff, because,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to know, but it was used for sex things.
Yeah. I'm curious on something, though, but...
What are you thinking?
Well, Malcolm's been silent this whole time.
To be fair, you did kind of promise him that you'd show him the way, so he might be just kind of
Entirely fair.
stewing.
Yeah. As he's going to take stock of the... Well, no, that take stock is an action. He is going to look over the crowd for a moment. I want to reiterate, again, not only do we have what was here already, which may not be much, but it will keep the rain off. We have enough here to continue building. And that ship, I want to point out again, that ship does hold a good amount of people. Some of y'all may know, but it can hold a decent amount of people comfortably as well. It was used for some, perhaps a little uncivilized things, but those uncivilized things demanded comfort. So he nods again. Again, for the time being, and while we're building this place up, we can take rotations. Every one of y'all, at the very least, gets a day or 2, maybe 3 in a week, maybe 4, and maybe more as we build up, and that is going to be one of our first priorities, is making sure that everybody gets shelter. Everybody's going to get a chance to get the comforts that they were denied for so long, as he is going to just kind of try to reiterate, like, hey guys, look, like, it may suck, but we can all bear the suck together and in shifts.
Okay. Well,
please, gosh, dang. At least it's 13.
it is not a 1.
It is not a 1 this time. It was a 3. This is more dice for the dice gods.
All right.
I gotta put my sacrifice in and hope it helps my brother.
I will let you know, right now at round 5, you're currently at 37 of 100 points, relating to specifically people staying.
Fair enough.
I will also let you know, because you're currently flying solo, the allies of those people, or the keywords of those people gathered around the fire, depending on how and if you hit them, may or may not affect how they act.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not their arguments are for or against you at the moment.
Yeah, that was my next bits of action, as I was going to start taking stock of everybody around me. Rather specifically, he was going to study the people around him.
That brings it back to Georgie, who currently starts talking around about, seems to be in conversation with hushed whispers.
Yes, please, Georgie, please.
Georgie is on fire.
As he rolls a 29.
Yeah. I'll let you know. That gives a +6 to your side. As it's back to Reyna, who does clear her throat. And, well, that being said, I think we do have the question of living space now firmly set, as we pointed out with the ship. I'd like to move on to what I consider to be the second biggest issue we have with the farm at the moment, which would be security, and more specifically, a lack thereof.
Of course you would roll a natural 20.
Which...
I'm going to guess it's not really good for us now, is it?
No, it's not. I mean,
of course not. Roll a natural 20.
Yeah. Wow.
You're going to start a panic here, Rena.
To which Julie seems kind of actually taken aback at that one and looks around and security, you don't actually expect an attack here. I mean, Margaritaville's gone. We don't really have any neighbors at the moment, do we?
Oh boy.
Oh, should have a +2. So it is.
So 27.
Yeah. No. It's +2 points. She actually rolled a 35.
Oh.
As that will bring it to you, John, as now there is some earnest discussion going on about this rather new topic.
You know what? John is going to take a moment to study Rena.
We're studying Arena, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I will say, give me insight unless you can make it a argument for another skill.
Gotcha. I think maybe John might have his own hushed, whispered conversation, Rena, kind of like as he'll kind of real quick kind of get down, just be like, Rena, what are you doing? About riling these people up into a panic. What's your angle here? If that would maybe make an argument for persuasion.
I'll let you do persuasion with that.
Okay.
Brian, do you want to roll above a 3?
I would love to roll above a 3, Noah.
You should refresh the page at this point, dude.
Something's going wrong.
Hold on, I've got to do some sands or something or other, or like, what do I got to do here, man? I don't. What do I got here? I'll roll physical dice. That's a 4. Oh, a 4.
Like, you're killing me, dude. You are killing me.
You know what you have to do, Brian.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point to ask. Are we keeping this roll?
Don't you do this tonight. Don't you do this.
Dude, you're fucking it. You're fucking it up so bad right now.
I have like +10s to these rolls, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you rolled a hero point, you'd be doing amazing with it. Well, not a hero point, because you know.
Like, we really need this settlement to work, dude.
I know. This is the last sub-5 roll I take.
Okay.
This is the last sub-5 roll I take.
I mean, we still got a little bit of wiggle room to pull this back. Did you refresh the... Yeah, you did.
Yes, I did. I don't know what it'll do, but I did.
Hold on, I'm terrified now. I gotta roll just to make sure my dice are working.
As
Still somehow rolled higher than John.
as
You roll perception, thank you very much.
It's the same stat number.
as Rena does whisper back to you, I mean, do you want this to work? And if that's the case, we need everyone on the same page. I'm not sure when we're going to have another chance to sit down and actually make some plans with this. We'll say you did, just frickin' barely, got high enough to figure out one of her keywords, which is concrete plans.
All right. I'll take it at least.
Which brings it back up to Georgie. Yep.
I feel like
okay.
there's a particular level of hubris that we're being punished for, because I'm sitting here like, man, this was probably a stupid idea to send Richard out into the wilds by Borderline himself.
Hey, man, actions are actions.
Yeah.
Actually, both kind of Georgie and Rena seem to take a second to kind of quiet down, and Rena seems to kind of be reconsidering her words now that you've said something, as well as Georgie. Julie doesn't seem content to just sit quiet, as she kind of looks around and says, well, I mean, okay, fair enough, but there are, almost 500 of us? As long as we all stick together, I can't see anyone being much of a problem with 500 of us.
Thank you, Julie, with the natural 20.
Holy fuck. See, Noah can help us. Out of pity, usually, but you know.
Gosh, dang it.
To which there is smiling and nodding and several agreements, for Harry opens his mouth, and I mean, against a horde, though, numbers like that come a detriment. He does kind of pause with the realization of what he said, before kind of shrugging, and I mean, I'm sorry, but it is the truth.
Wait, who said this and what?
Harry, to Julie's point that there are 500 people that could fight against any threat, Harry pointed out that's not necessarily a good thing when dealing with zombies.
Fair enough.
There's another person, sounds almost up towards the back, that does speak out. And yeah, I mean, got a point. Don't have any guns, hardly any weapons. What are we supposed to do if a horde comes around?
Of course you would roll a 33.
Sorry, John, it's your turn.
Thanks for that. Thanks.
Hey man, they want to know what to do with weapons. They're surrounded by trees. If Richard can kill zombies with pointy, sharp objects, they can too.
Says to the man who doesn't have to worry about getting infected.
Oh, we still have to worry about that. Thank you.
Make them
much.
very long sticks, and also I'm pretty sure I do still need to worry about that, as you've made me roll on that disease chart multiple times.
But not zombie infection.
As John will consider that a moment, nodding. Again, very good points, and a very valid concern. As he considers again. Then looks between Rena and Harry. Harry, you do bring up a good point. Hordes are something to be concerned about. And yes, as he gestures to Julie, we do have 500 people strong right now. And the more people that stick around, more people can help fend them off. Did you know, as he looks around the crowd, for thousands of years, and I mean thousands of years, the greatest weapon that man has ever invented was a long, pointy stick. As he pauses for effect, grins, and then gestures out and around. Harry here himself is a bit of an architect, a bit of a engineer, would you say? As he looks to Harry.
It kind of moves his hand in a so-so motion, but you can tell from his face he is pleased with this statement.
Look at your humble ass waver in your hand as he shakes his head and grins. Man, I believe it was you that made that suicide boat more of a jackass boat as he grins and shakes his head again. And Rena, you have a bit of experience in hand-to-hand. I think maybe you could give a primer to maybe, as he gestures around, a good number of folk, wouldn't you say?
There's a nod. I mean, I suppose.
And I say, we get ourselves a good batch of long pointy sticks, aka spears. And for those of you who may not have been out in the wasteland for very long, let me guarantee you, for 95% of anything out there, a long pointy spear is going to do absolute wonders. And working together, well, you can take out most about anything. Wow. And that is, of course, a stopgap measure. I say we take maybe groups of 20 at a time, maybe whatever you can manage every day for an hour or so, maybe 2. You do a couple of drills on close combat. We learn, just like in the comforts, those can take shifts at the edges and learning to defend yourselves. And while you're doing that, as he raises up a hand, the more we can produce here, the more we can barter for those weapons that we are sorely missing when the caravan comes by. And, well, maybe some of us can start looking around to other places around, and maybe we can scavenge ourselves up some stuff. The point being is, right now, we got a plan to deal with the immediate threats while we're working on solidifying that defense. As he is going to, I guess, counter-proposal that, yes, that's a threat, but so can we be, and easily.
All right. Give me a roll.
Okay, listen, Foundry. I understand. You got something against me, and I don't know what it is, but I hope that maybe we can move past this. Thank you. 21.
Finally.
Oh my gosh.
You got
above a 10.
10.
I got above a 10.
Any bonuses on top of that?
I don't know. Noah?
No bonuses to the roll itself.
Son of a gun.
It's a start.
It's above a 10. I will take it.
It is above a 10. As
And I would like to point out, I did be like, hey, let's every day take 20 people or so and train them up while Harry gets us some spears.
you did do that. And as you finish saying these words, and there is a rumble of assent amongst the crowd, real quick, Georgie does lean over and whisper in your ear. Some of the older members of the farm holding out on the big scarred guy, waiting to see what he'll throws on this. From what I can tell, you need to lose the candy coating on a few things if you want to win him over. So I will let you know, Georgie has revealed to you both of Malcolm's keywords.
Ah, fair enough.
Just pragmatism and pessimism.
Fair enough.
You're all probably gonna die, but
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
no, we don't leave it that part.
I actually have to remember how this action works. It's been a while since I've seen this one.
Hunt?
Yes. Frida moves behind you and stabs a blade through your throat.
No!
Okay. As the two of you are kind of discussing this and quickly break back, Rena reaches behind the barrel she's kind of sitting on, brings out something that glimmers and shines in the firelight.
Ooh, shiny.
And it takes a second. She directs it away from your face. To see that it's one of the blades she used to use as her time in the pit fight, or one of the many blades that used to be on her. As she motions it and kind of shows it to the crowd. And I mean, you don't have to rely completely on sticks alone.
I'll take it. I will take it. This sounds positive. Let's go.
You have a +5 to your next roll, John.
Yes.
Who, which also seems to accept Julie as she gives the nods, and she says, and I mean, you guys are making it sound like we only have access to sticks. We have quite a few more than that. I mean, we don't have tons, but we do have some guns and some ammunition, and a few more melee weapons.
Let's go! Julie with a 21.
All right. And as Harry, Malcolm, and Eliza stay silent, that brings it to you, John.
As John nods, nodding appreciatively both to Rena and Julie. All this, of course, to say that it is possible. As he looks around the crowd, smiling, and he will let this smile fade for a bit, kind of sobering up a little bit before he'll put his hands out, almost placatively. Now, I do want to take a moment to, well, address the facts of the matter. And I want to tell you that it's possible. And I want to tell you, well, shit, I wish I could tell you it'd be easy. But, to be frank, it won't. Where you came from was hard. Harder than hard. The kind of hard and dark that just grinds down your soul. Shit, listen to me talking like I know what you've been through. I ain't know a single damn thing of what you've been through. But what's coming up next is a different kind of hard. And it is going to be hard. You're facing the very real danger of different bandits, of the undead coming this way. I mean, there's a big concentration of people here. That's why we got to take these threats seriously. And we do. You can tell Rena does. I'm trying to give you hope. And there is hope. There is plenty of hope. For some of you might have been through the wasteland, and you know how hard that can be. And a place like this, as he gestures towards the plantation, food, some shelter, and the possibility of making more, that's not something you just run across every day. Yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, and you're facing very real danger. But we can come together and make it suck maybe just a lot less. Maybe just a little less. And no matter what the suck is, and it's going to suck, it'll be your suck. Man, that sounds stupid when it come out my mouth, but think about it. Whatever it is, whatever hardship it is, you get a say in it. You get to decide in it. As he'll try and leave it at that. Like, yes, it will suck. Let's be real. This is going to be hard, but we can come together and make it maybe just a little easier.
All right, give me that roll.
Another 11 for a 21. With +5, I believe you said, was a
Yes.
26.
All right. as there is a lot more murmuring in the crowd. As you can tell, you've won, if you had to quantify it, more than half of them.
Hey, I'll take it.
As, oh, screw it. That's dramatic enough.
Oh boy.
As Georgie moves to say something, and then pauses as he notices Malcolm stand up, and seems to very visibly choose to stay silent.
Boy.
Just +2. As well as Rena does the same. Now you're rolling like garbage.
Good.
+3 for +5.
I'm assuming this all would have been helpful,
Probably.
which is why you're rolling like crap.
It's still helpful, but yeah, definitely not as much. Total of
Whenever you're rolling something nice for us, you just roll like crap.
yeah, pretty much. I don't even have any control over it.
Noah could have given me a hero point earlier, but it's like, no, you already got 3.
That's on you. I don't know why you complain about me about that one. As everyone goes rather silent, as for the first time, Malcolm stands up, takes a very long look around the crowd. It goes very quiet. There's a gravity here. Even the ones who don't seem to know him personally can see the history that is just scarred all over his flesh in pretty much every injury imaginable. Even his fingers aren't straight, broken and twisted. He clears his throat, very low voice. He says, I lost everything here. Sammy took everything away from me. Hopes, spirit, came close to ending my life. For all intents and purposes, he did. There's another very long pause as he lets his words sink in. I don't know about any of you, but I don't have much left to lose. And he turns and nods to you, John, and so, the way I see it, might as well risk it on something to gain.
Natural 20.
There
You
we
can
go.
roll nice for us, Noah. For a total of 31.
For a total of 31.
To be fair, that's the second nat 20 he's rolled in our favor.
See,
Balances
that's
out
what
the
I'm
2
saying.
nat ones you've rolled.
Yes, it does. As
Wow.
John will just grin and offer him a hand.
Which he takes.
And he'll just do that bro grip. Let's hope we can give you something to look forward to.
Okay. And with Harry and the crowd staying silent, that puts it back into your court, John.
You know what? Honestly, John is just gonna let those words kind of hang for a bit. He's just gonna let them sit. And instead, he is going to take a moment. Let's see here. Yeah, he's gonna take a moment to review.
Okay. Give me insight or investigation unless you can give me an argument for a different skill.
Let's see here. It may be a little cheesy here, but might I also argue possibly from actor to how best maybe to structure his words that it might have the most dramatic emotional effect.
You know what? I'll give it to you.
Hey, thanks. That would be a 16.
Okay. That is going to give you a +4 for your next roll.
Oppose or refute. Okay.
Seeing as how everyone has seemed to kind of lean into the gravity in this solemn situation, figure out how to best capitalize on that with your own acting prowess.
As he'll also give a nod to Georgie like a thank you.
As he nods back, leans over, kind of whispers, and studying Rena seems to lean into the pause and anti-discrimination rhetoric you've given. So you learned one of her keywords, or the second one of her keywords is equality.
Gotcha.
Where he pauses, leans in again, and by the way, you want Harry to do something more than just sit like a stump on a log. Give him a chance to show off the encyclopedia inside his head. So we'll also give you one of Harry's keywords of technical knowledge.
As he nods, utters a quiet thank you before looking out over the crowd again.
as Marina is going to be silent. Julie is going to be silent. Liza is going to be silent. As someone does finally break the kind of spell of silence Malcolm has given over the crowd, as someone towards the back speaks up, and what happens to the profits? The excess food. Okay. Not very confidently, I should add, with a roll total of 10.
As John will grin and point out toward the voice in the crowd. That is an excellent forward-thinking question. Thank you. As he'll just kind of point it out. We're already looking to profits now, are we? Well, truth be told, we got our hands full right now, just trying to make everything, just to get everything situated. However, it's a gesture towards Georgie and around as well. They made a good point earlier. You got a chance to do some real good for the whole United States, what's left of it anyway. All of America. Food is always going to be useful. So there are going to be profits once we can get this place up and running. What do the profits get you? Well, that's going to be a little bit of an internal matter once we get everything set up. But I can absolutely guarantee you that it's going to benefit everybody here. Now, I don't know exactly what you might have been asking. You might have been asking, and you might be thinking, some of y'all might be thinking, that, oh, these new folk, they rescued us just so they could get in a slice of the profits. They're just setting this all up, and which is fair. And again, where you came from, I wouldn't blame you a bit for thinking that. And I know it may be hard to believe. I hope that you can sometime. But I ain't looking to cut into your slice of the pie at all. I don't think anybody here is either. As he gestures towards Georgie, Eliza, and Harry. Now, these folk were freedom fighters back in Margaritaville, and that ain't changed now that they're stateside again. And Richard and I, well, kind of the same. We just want what's best for, well, you and me. All of us together. The brotherhood and sisterhood of mankind. So what do you get out of it? Might be your other question that you may not have quite asked. Every time profits go on out, they come right back in, which means more comfort, more security, more folk to come in and help. As he kind of makes a circular gesture with his hands. It goes back out, it comes back in, goes back out, comes back in. In more concrete terms, the caravan is going to want to make this a prime stop, which means you'll get access to everything they got. Weapons, beds, blankets, food, other kinds of food. And, well, I don't know how many of y'all can cook, but, as it kind of leans to the side, I happen to know somebody with a little bit of hometown Louisiana cooking expertise. Make the best goddamn jambalaya you ever tasted. Maybe we could trade recipes that way, and we can go from comfort to pleasures. As he's gonna propose that.
Okay. Give me that roll.
Please. Oh my gosh, please. I set it up so well. Another 11. You know what? I'll take the 11s over the 1s and 2s. Thank you very much. So that'd be a 21, not counting whatever bonuses. Wait, no, plus 4. So that'd be 25 at least.
Jeez, okay.
What would you say our percentage of the tracker is doing?
It's over half.
I'd say at this point, it looks like you've won over 3/4 of the crowd.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck yeah. From rags to riches, to crits to bitches.
No.
Yes.
No. Don't you dare name that the thought that when you publish it on YouTube.
I can't put swears in the video title on YouTube.
Good. As Georgie nods and turns his attention back to the crowd and clears his voice. And adding on to that point, caravan is, well, not to mince words, it's pretty vital. Quite a lot of people living out in the wasteland. All the points he said about caravan coming here, making a bigger stop, bringing in comfort, that's true. But, I mean, this would be just one step of a very, very large chain of events that helps out everyone, not just you.
All right, we'll take it. Dirty 20. Dirty 20.
Which there is a lot of people kind of talking and nodding heads and whatnot. And Rena clears her throat. Says, so that them being said, brings us to our last main issue, which is that we have a lot of the supplies, we have the land, but I'm not quite sure many of us have the know-how to get this agriculture back into full scale the way it was. Okay. I'll do that, why don't you? Which, there are a few murmurs of agreement, not very vocal and not very confident, but a few. And there is one voice somewhere in one of the patches of shadow that says, yeah, how exactly are we going to start this farm up? Because last time it was run, well, I don't think anyone wants to go back to that. Bring it once again to your court, John.
Another excellent point. And you're right. I don't think any one of us wants it to go back to that. I don't think any one of us is going to let it go back to that. Not a single one of us. As we look around at everybody. Now, I asked around, but there are a few people here with some actual agricultural knowledge, or at least gardening, which is going to have to make do for now. You could just blow that knowledge up a little bit. But again, the way you ask that question makes me think that you might be thinking that you are alone in this. That we are alone in this endeavor. But you're not in Margaritaville anymore. And Sammy, that motherfucker ain't running this show no more. You with people again. You always were people, and ain't nobody this side of the coast thinks you anything less. Outside of the sharp and pointy stick, one of our greatest strengths has always been each other. Now, we happen to have a few connections as well with people who do know. Which brings me to another point as well. A lot of y'all might have lost people, or at least been taken from people on the mainland. Some of y'all might have family out here somewhere, at least friends, or a community that you was part of before and may yet be. Again, as he puts his hands up, I'm asking anybody who wants to stay. But when the caravan comes by, that's a much safer way to get back to wherever you want to go. Or, as he shrugs, maybe if we grow large enough in the future, you might invite them over. Maybe we can make this place much more worth staying in. That said, we have radios, we have the caravan, we have points of contact around the mainland America. Not only can we get help that way and learn what we need to learn remotely, you might even be able to contact somebody, or at least put the word out that you're still alive and you're still kicking. I shall leave it at that.
Well, give me that roll then.
17 for a 27. There we go.
That's more the John rolls I'm expecting.
I was waiting on him. Jeezums. All
I
you
think
had
we
to
might
do
have switched around and Richard showed up as John this time.
Oh gosh, no please.
Holy cow, okay. There's a lot more talking, and there are a lot of... It seems like you've got almost everyone on board. There are very few holdouts up to this point. And as Georgie catches your eye, gives you a bit of a knowing smile, clears his throat, and... I mean, we want to talk about something specific. Think this through. Just try talking about irrigation, as he nods at Harry, and I have a feeling you know a thing or two about that.
There we go. I was wondering how to get him in.
Which Rena turns and kind of looks at Harry up and down, and irrigation. You know something about irrigation.
What'd I tell you? Guy's an engineer.
Not supposed to roll twice there, but okay. Julie seems to be talking to the crowd again. Okay.
Less success. But you know what? It's okay. You earned a 9.
She seems to be less focused on getting the crowd kind of on your side and more just genuinely and generally just excited about things that are being said.
I'll also take that.
Harry kind of clears his throat. And, well, I mean, know a little bit. Know more about plumbing, which, I mean, irrigation. It's just kind of fancy plumbing with a lot more holes put into everything.
Outdoor plumbing.
I mean, kind of the funny thing is, biggest help and your biggest drawback is the fact that this whole land sits on a Mississippi Delta. I mean, that fertilizes quite a few things, but there's quite a bit of stock crop that you'd want to be growing, just because it's easy grains, easy calories, corn, wheat, stuff the old world used to rely on a lot.
John is just like opening his arms, like looking around the crowd and then back to Harry, like, where the hell have you been?
I mean, bigger problem is actually keeping the water out, keeping the soil drier. You know, those roots don't tend to like getting flooded too much, but more about earthenworks at that point, and elevation, which just frankly moving a whole lot of dirt. Nothing fancy, just, you know, work.
As he rolls a 31.
All right, John.
As John is just standing there in like stunned silence for a moment before looking back over the crowd, looking to Rena, Julie, Malcolm, and just be like, "You want to talk about farming knowledge? What the hell did you just spew right there?"
Now, Brian,
Yeah.
I'll let you know, you currently have all 500 people on your side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you an option.
Okay.
You can either call it here and call it good
Mm-hmm.
and take all 500 people home with you,
Oh boy, I'm sensing you're gonna up the ante here.
or I give you one last turn.
Okay.
You have currently just a +1 bonus to whatever roll you make.
Okay.
You score 5 points. I'm going to give you a major boon to this farm.
Okay.
But there's a chance you also might lose some points if, you know, roll
Do it.
goes poorly.
If you have to extra effort reroll, it's worth it.
Let's don't tell me what to do, but also yes. As John just grinning wide, like almost wide-eyed, almost wild, as his arms open up, looking at Harry for a second, and then looking out towards everybody around the bonfire, crowd outside, crowd inside, as he takes a moment to address, like just to look over the crowd before raising a fist up in the air. What did I tell you? We come together, we can do this. And I do say we, and I'm not going to lie, Richard and I, we got a whole lot of other, well, pies to put our fingers into. Not to be too crude of a metaphor there, but y'all, as he just looks around, y'all can absolutely do this. And we are going to go out there and get as much help for you as we can. And you got plenty right here. We have enough scrap and junk to make ourselves some shelters. And we got the know-how to get more of what we need to make even more. And right now, yes, things is going to be hard for the next few days, few weeks. But we can share that burden and share those comforts. And we can make it through the hardest to get to the easiest. We can do some good for all of the wasteland. We can do some good for ourselves. And yes, as long as we come up with a step-by-step plan, as he looks to Rena, every single one of us playing our part and putting in as much work as we can make this place safe, or safer. We can feed the whole damn wasteland from here. And feed it well. And y'all can eat the first of the fruit of the bounty. And it can all be yours, and it will all be yours. And once more, as he puts his finger up in the air, we asked Rena because Rena is very capable. But she stipulated that she would not be here forever. This is your home if you want it to be. You choose your leaders. You choose how you spend your resources, your time, your home. As he is going to just push your home. This is your home.
All right, give me that roll.
Please, I am begging you, Foundry. I will take the 25. You said I got a +1, right?
You do have a +1.
I will take the 25.
All right.
Based on our previous rolls, I do think that is 3 degrees of success and the +5 we need.
Potentially. But also, I'm not extra efforting. I've rolled a 14. I can't roll too much better than that.
Keep it.
All right, so we keep this roll.
25, yep.
Yeah.
And as you say this, there is a silence for a moment before Julie gets to her feet, gives a few slow claps, speeds up. A few more people in the crowd begin to clap, and a few more. The speed of the applause picks up, becomes a bit more earnest, actually a little bit thunderous.
The whole
for
time,
a few moments.
John is just pointing like at everybody else, just pushing this. This is yours. This can be yours.
Is he doing the "you're breathtaking" thing?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
As he is just trying to build up this hype.
All right, and you ride that wave all the way there. Multiple people that the more you play off of it, the more they respond to it, and the more they seem to kind of take that message personally.
Yes.
Yes. It kind of continues. And there are several people that are now talking amongst themselves, breaking up. Both Rena and Eliza start trying to say some things to some of the people are gathering off. It is very much a different atmosphere. Whereas you began this debate around the bonfire, it felt like a lot of confusion, a lot of eyes just put onto you, and a lot of people who didn't really know where to turn. Feels like a plan you have in front of you. And as the individuals move off, some going to sleep, most of them not. Many, many more seeming to go to the fields, or to the bunkhouses, or to the piles of scrap. Begin talking about things, pointing out things.
I think John is also trying to this bonfire. Let's get more stuff and spread it out so that every bunkhouse can have its own fire. Because we noticed people were chilly, and we can't have that.
Fair enough. As you begin to kind of set up some of the torches, piles of wood, and broken, expensive southern furniture.
A part of him breaks, but it's okay.
There's at one point as you hand another bundle off to someone to start one of these fires in the bunkhouses to keep more people warm. Notice someone approach you. Someone familiar that you talk to later with the illuminated by the now dying light of the fire. Red Letterman jacket, close cropped blonde hair.
As he sees, nods to him. Sid!
As he gives a nod back, kind of leans up against a spare bit of fencing that's still up and hasn't quite been dismantled yet. I heard your speech from the porch. Well, most of it.
As he bobs his head and nods.
Some people were too quiet to hear, but yours certainly carried.
Well, as he leans over and jabs Harry in the shoulder with a fist. Someone inspired me just a little bit.
Just kind of shrugs. Definitely pleased at the comment, but doesn't want to say too much as he shuffles off.
We could really be possible, you know? I mean, I knew it could, but people can really see it now. It's easier to see now, too.
Yeah, I did notice there's a one big problem with this whole place you didn't mention.
What's that?
Crawlers. Suppose I shouldn't call them that. It makes them sound like an actual species when they're not, but...
Ones that be cut down from the waist to the hips down.
It gives a
nod. On the ground. They kind of slink under the water in a bayou.
It gives another nod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of them left behind. Old U.S. military tried real hard to keep this area for some reason. Put down quite a bit of mines, which double-edged sword there.
Yeah, sure is. What do you propose?
Seems like you might need someone to keep an eye on things, educate the people, do regular sweeps, make sure they know what they're looking for.
They really could use someone like that. Oh, it's a shame he might be headed on out.
There's kind of a scoff and a smirk at that, and for the record, I like what you're doing here, and I'm willing to be a part of it, but I can't be buddy-buddy with, you know.
He nods. I know. Ain't nobody asking you to. That'd be a big ask. Bigger than what I ask here. as he grins at that. Pauses for a moment, looks to the side, and speaking of educating the masses, as he puts his hand on his arm and gestures with his other hand, have you met Rena?
So he looks over and, I think we were briefly acquainted. Not officially, I guess, no.
Well, as he probably hasn't even walked much, unless she's in something right now, he'll approach her with him and, Rena, I'd like you to meet Sid, formally. Sid, I'd like you to meet Rena.
He sticks a hand out, gives a shake. Rena Kaiser gives a shake back, looks over to the pistol that seems to be attached to his hip, and Beretta 2001, which he nods, which she gives a nod back, and not flashy, solid, reliable. Guy pauses and, you served, or? To which she gives a kind of side-to-side motion. Not as much officially, but I suppose. And they kind of continue their conversation, seeming to have forgotten about you.
Which John allows as he steps back and just grinning ear to ear for a moment, literally, and then he remembers himself, and as he will step away and just kind of meander. Honestly, he's just gonna stand by the bonfire as it dies and let people go on and talk amongst themselves, kind of satisfied with a night's work.
And as you do, we will move a couple hundred miles away to Richard, who I will say with Taylor, you've been making okay-ish time. She seems to be still struggling, maybe even a bit more so now that you are on day 2 of strenuous cross-country hiking, but she is not falling behind. As a group of you kind of post up the late morning, she kind of suddenly pauses, holds out an arm to you, and is it just me, or does something feel weird?
As he will slow to a stop, turning back to her. Does anything feel weird?
Want to give me investigation or perception, your choice.
I feel like this might be an ally ability.
I mean, perception's the one I actually have stats in, so.
Nat
20.
Roll
Doesn't matter what my fucking bonus is.
As you pause, and yeah, there is something strange. You feel almost as if you're being watched. You feel the hairs on the back of your neck and your arms stand up a bit. As you strain, you kind of realize what it is. Though, admittedly, the animal life in the wasteland is a fraction of what it used to be. There has still been one constant throughout most of it, which is birds. Smart enough usually to avoid zombies, high enough up in the trees. They have continued to thrive. Except there are none chirping right now.
Oh boy.
It is completely silent in the forest. Almost as if all other animal life, especially the birds, who have learned to grow wary, have also sensed some sort of presence, and have fled.
With the nat 20, do I smell anything on the wind?
You do, actually. It's somewhat familiar. But you can't quite put where you recognize it from. It's the scent of old musty cloth, stale blood, hint of flesh that doesn't quite smell warm, but also doesn't quite smell rotting.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
As he pauses and will ready the hook and chain in one hand, glancing around. I think I'm smelling something dead about. Let's just walk slow and eyes alert.
As Taylor kind of crouches down, begins to stick to the shadows and the low areas where the fog kind of collects.
I'm actually going to move to join her, and taking my leap up into the trees, I'm going to move through them, specifically above her.
Okay. You want to give me stealth?
Yeah. I've gotten better at that since our last time we played. Oh, I'm really fucking good at that today.
Yeah, you have.
Wow. As you just disappear in the trees.
Better stealth than John. Only you can't turn invisible.
I I may have taken the creative liberty that now that Richard has learned that it's okay to hunt, he's being a little bit less self-restrictive while hunting.
Fair enough.
Your companion also almost similarly disappears as you begin to survey this large, empty road in front of you. Burnt out husk of cars and of signs pointing evacuation this way and various other road signs that say detour. Long ago, scribbled over with graffiti and whatnot. Very little remaining of what used to be thriving Americana, Florida. And as you peer out, you do hear a hiss from below. Taylor's voice whispering to you, and Richard, I see something. About 1:30 towards the west.
Richard takes a moment to remember vague cardinal directions before. Do I see anything glancing in that direction?
Give me perception.
Oh, but I'm not good at it normally. I only just lucked out with the nat 20.
You use one of your 3 hero points, you glutton.
I totally could, and I probably will. No,
No,
I'm
you
not.
don't need to.
Okay.
Where were these rolls? Never mind. You know what? I will take them here too. Everything else went all right.
As you look out towards the area, into the fog, it is far away, but you see a moving shape, a black shape, vaguely man-sized,
Oh, fuck, it's gonna be an acolyte.
too tall.
Oh no.
And you once again hear Taylor's voice hiss from behind you. That can't be Tulsa, right?
damn it!
It's
damn
not.
it!
As it
Stay here.
completely
damn it,
steps
damn it,
into the
damn it.
road.
No!
These fuckers have infrared vision, so unless he somehow has not looked our direction, he probably knows we're here.
Well, that is a question we will have to answer next time.
You're a son of a bitch.
No!
It's okay, now Brian gets to sit through next session when I get into combat.
No!
The moment you said, like, you mentioned the weird stale fabric, and I'm like, fuck, I think I know who that is. And then when you mentioned that it's too tall, I'm like, fuck, I know what that is.
Yeah. Oh no!
But you look so friendly. Just look at that friendly demeanor and that big
Oh.
smile.
My.
Well, I can't see the smile, it's covered by bandages. I
God.
love how you just have question marks all over the entire thing. Oh, man.
Oh no!
You know, the nice thing is, I technically can't sneak attack with the hook anyways, so I'm very glad that I can at the very least pop out spines for this fucker if I need to. Quick question before we fully leave out of this. Does he look like he's accompanying anyone? Considering my perception check?
With the... Not that
With
you
22?
see, no.
Fuck. That's weird. Yeah, because usually they're always with somebody.
JR wasn't.
He was with Susanna initially. Like, he did seek out someone to be with, is the thing.
That
He
is
sought
true.
out you guys to be with.
He sought out us, and then he wound up being with Susanna, and then he's now left with Jamal.
Yeah.
Like, they're actively meaning to be with people, and you see what Tulsa can do. He
Yeah.
can travel very fast. There is
Yeah.
no reason for this fucker to be here alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So I'm
not
definitely going to
good.
be on the lookout for sneak attacks.
All right.
Aw.
That being said, that brings us to the end of our session of Boxers Among Men. I want to thank once again everyone who joined us and everyone who will join us for dropping by on this session. Once again, going around the table, I am Noah. I'm a writer. If you've enjoyed this world and this weirdness for some insane reason, I have my website down below. I have my own solo book, horror book, which takes place in the expanded universe of this world, or expanded multiverse, I guess I should say. As well as a
doing
romance
series of
anthology.
shorts in this world would be pretty tight too.
It would, you know, it's funny because that was originally going to be the idea. But that was back when the world was doomed, and the world is no longer necessarily doomed. So yeah, and also to finish up, I thought, yeah, I also did a romance. If you want to see what this weird and twisted mind had to do when I was asked to write a nice fluffy romance, which I guess Mackenzie.
Hi.
Care to follow that up?
Yeah, I'm Mackenzie. I was the person who played Richard in this session.
He also did
I-
all the art. I don't think he
I did all
mentioned
the
that.
art for this. I did at the beginning, actually.
Did you?
I did the art for the overlay. I did the art for our intro reading when we had the starting soon. And once more, if you want to see more of my art, you can find me on @MoonKanin on X or Twitter, whichever you want to call it now. MOONKANIN. Yeah, I refuse to, but I do it just because I was reading it off the bottom here.
Fair enough.
You can actually find any of our social medias here. You can see the YouTube, you can see Noah's website, and you can see where, we have our little social medias here. Brian, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself to end this up?
Hi, I'm Brian. I play John. I'm scared for Richard and Taylor. I did the intro.
You did do the intro.
And yeah, thank you all so much. You all have a fantastic night, day, whenever you're listening to this. Just have yourself an awesome.